Thank you, Millencolin, for joining us after your show here at SBÄM Fest here at the Backfabrik in Linz, Austria. The first question is a pretty easy one for me. Pretty easy one for me. The first question you want to get over with in an interview.
What was it?
The first question you want to get over with in an interview after a show.
How was the show?
How was the show? The show was great.
It was a great show. Super stoked to be here in Austria doing this, so it was awesome.
Yeah, really, really nice festival. I'm so impressed with Stefan and everybody here who built this up from
scratch.
Yeah, from starting on a small level to become a festival like this. That's awesome.
And before we get back to SBÄM Fest and the thing behind and besides SBÄM Fest, I'd like to go back to the past a little. The last time I saw here in Linz, it was back in 2011 at Posthof here in Austria, which was 10 or 11 years ago, I guess. I didn't exactly show it. And I wrote about this show. The sound wasn't good, but that was fine. Would you say that's more like a credo or a statement behind a punk rock show or a Millencolin show as well? So even if the sound isn't good, it's also a fine show if the people show up.
Yeah, I mean that's a typical thing for someone who, if the sound isn't good, they probably stand in a corner somewhere. Yeah, so the sound is always good when Millencolin are playing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But we changed our sound guys, every once in a while. Maybe he had a bad day at work. I don't know. Maybe it was super lousy equipment. I don't know.
Or maybe the guy who was writing this down was a problem with his ear.
Yeah.
It was me who wrote this down, actually.
So how was the year?
Probably pretty good, but in defense of the sound guy, back then it was a Tuesday evening,
okay.
which is always difficult while playing in a
I remember the show actually. But of course, sometimes it's the show. The sound maybe is better some days and worse on it. But as long as you thought it was a good show, anyways, we're happy.
You have been founded back in the 90s, or in the beginning of the 90s, back in Sweden or in Scandinavia, which is not known for a punk rock scene.
No.
And which was not known more or less, which even was more not known for a punk rock scene in the 90s. Speaking very basically, why did you start a punk rock song or a punk rock band in Scandinavia, which was metal, which was pop, which was absolutely everything but you?
Yeah, but I guess for us, we grew up skateboarding.
Yeah.
And when you were skateboarding, you heard American music through the skateboard videos. And that music was really hard you couldn't buy it in the stores. So we tried to make our own music that sounded like that music, like Southern Californian punk rock, And most punk bands in Sweden back then sang in Swedish. And we did with our first bands too. So I guess we wanted to do something different, and that's why we started the band. And we were really lucky to be able to get out of Sweden toward Germany and a lot of countries very early, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Thank you for agreeing.
It's a weird way of sitting over your shoulder. I'm super happy with how you. Maybe you can hold it in your other hand, so you don't have this arm here.
No, I won't do that, man.
But this was 25 to 30 years ago from today, which was not politically, but also very different. If you look at the society back then, and the society and the musical scene when you started out as Millencolin, do you think also asked very basically that you still reach or still agree to those thoughts you had back while founding Millencolin? Or do you think that your view as musicians and as an approach to Millencolin has also changed?
Well, I mean, everything's changing, and we're changing as human beings too, And we're not the same band today that we were back in 1992.
No. You have to go through the phases that you enjoy.
Everything matures,
Yeah, I mean, back then when we started the band, we wanted to sound like the Californian punk rock bands, and we wanted to do their stuff. So
you want to
try to copy their
effects
sound.
or
No, we didn't. We just wanted to have fun. We had no fame thoughts or anything. We wanted to record a demo tape and play fun songs, with the stuff we listened to. And, then we had some success with the first album, and then we started to tour the world and become a bigger band. And after a while, you feel like if you do the same thing all over again, it's not fun. So you do a little bit of progress, but I think we always kept the Millencolin, the core of Millencolin through all our albums. And now lately we've kind of gone back a little bit to Penny Bridge Pioneers in the sound, because we kind of found after 30 years what we are most happy with, like how we should sound, what we're most comfortable in, the style of music. Maybe not like when we did Machine 15, we tried to do something more polished and stuff like that, and maybe Home From Home was a little bit more rock and stuff. Yeah. But I like those albums a lot too. But now the last two albums, it feels like we kind of captured what's the Millencolin sound.
Yeah. You just mentioned, I'd like to stick a little to your last record, SOS, which was, a quote of your press release, a complaint about modern society. You did complain in the 90s, you did complain end of the 90s, you did complain in the 2000s, you did complain at the beginnings of 2010s. You are still complaining about society's happenings and society's evolutions, or
so do you think it's gone in the right direction from that?
Yeah, that's the question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Now, you are still complaining about things happening during the last 30 years in your music. Do you think that you have accomplished something with your music if you look at the current developments in real life politics?
I mean, we can't change it. We can never change the world with our music, but we can express our feelings and try to make people to maybe think twice before you do something, and that's what we're trying to do. And I think we accomplished a lot with our music, and hopefully people who are listening to our music are feeling the same way, So that's a very tough question.
Of course, it's a tough question. So I'm asking.
But I think,
I don't think we are complaining, though. I think we're bringing stuff up to light.
But of course, we are. And
do you all think that the audience is more perspective or receptive for certain views? Or
I mean, it's interesting with lyrics. For me, as a music consumer, I'm listening. I love melodies and I love catchy or just music that makes me feel good or feel sad or whatever. And sometimes for me, the lyrics is a thing. For me, it's a thing that comes first, the music and the melody. Then maybe I focus on lyrics, And if it's a good message, it's super good. But I'm a music consumer or I like to, if there's a good song and I catch the lyric in a good way, it's a perfect thing for me. But sometimes I'm just into a song just because of the melody, or maybe sometimes just because of the lyric, So it's a hard thing, But music it's important. It's supposed to, touch people and move people in a certain direction, I guess.
Yeah, and to be honest, in our whole career, the lyrics there are secondary. The music is the most important.
First it is, but then the lyric is super important when you have a good song.
Exactly.
So it's about connecting to the people and then getting the lyrics across to the people as well.
Because when we write a song, then we do the lyric. We never do the lyric, then the song, Because it's like the Beatles, it's the melodies is 100% the first most important thing.
One question I cannot avoid in 2022 is I did listen to SOS as a whole when driving over here to this festival. That people are listening to a song or a single, so to say, about 2 seconds or two and a half seconds before making their mind up about a record or a band or an artist. How do you cope with it? Because you have been around since the 90s, where this was the whole other way around, where you did release an album, you did release 2 singles, and people were featuring the whole thing instead of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 seconds.
it's a difficult thing because when you put out an album, it's, sometimes people just listen to the first song or an album, or maybe 2 songs or 3 songs. So it's important to maybe start off with the best songs on the album to keep people interested in it, because I know that younger people nowadays, they're such fast consumers of everything. You just swipe.
And they listen to one single song and listen to songs on playlists more than a full album. So you kind of lose the whole concept of an album. And I think it's kind of it's a little bit sad because I like the whole concept of making the artwork and everything
making a statement
or the whole album as a piece of
everything should work with the whole concept and get the song, and also like the order of the songs on the album is all, there's also thoughts about that too. But then when it all stream, it's just like you break everything up and it's hard to get the concept.
But I think it's probably better now than it was maybe 5 years ago. I think so, because there's a lot of vinyls. People are maybe more interested in the album now than they were like maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Did you think as Millencolin about when making, for example, SOS or your last record, of how you or of how people would perceive this record or receive this record?
Of course.
Yeah, and did this change your approach as well while making music? You have been doing this for 20 years, I guess. And then you make a record with these things you have to think about.
Yeah, but still, we have an approach that we had. I mean, maybe it's a little bit more important now that you release a really good first single, and maybe you can do the second one could be a little bit different, and the way you try to do it. And for us as a band, but it's still basically the same, because we're a punk rock band. We're not Harry Styles or what it is. We're doing our thing, and I think still people are they appreciate what bands are doing, and
then to be honest, I mean we could tour on like our old albums and people will come. So I'm actually really proud that we made these last albums that people actually like. There's so many bands that people haven't heard their latest releases, but it really feels like people listen to the latest albums.
Exactly.
So that's really, really good. It's not easy to make your 9th album after 28 years.
Because people want to hear the old stuff, but when you play new song, people are enjoying it too, and that's a good sign, too.
Which is leading me to my next question. I just saw you on stage, of course. While performing songs like No Cigaros or something like that, so these big hits, and it's always for me as a person who listens to music, it's always difficult for me, and I think about how people on stage feel about performing these old songs while still performing new songs and new albums, and how do you manage this gap or this huge gap between playing and satisfying, so to say, those people who are coming for the old songs, and also getting across your new songs and new statements, for example, like SOS.
Yeah, but it's fun because when you're on stage playing, if you say a song like Mr. Clean or No Cigar, we'll play those songs thousands of times live, but still it's as fun. It doesn't matter for me, because for me the reaction from the crowd is the most important thing in a way. Their energy is feeding me, and especially if
it's still feeding you 3 decades after starting out.
So
even more.
Their energy,
I would say, especially after the pandemic, it's so much fun to play live. I love it.
Yeah,
and none of our songs are super fun to play, but it's super fun to perform in front of the crowd. So it doesn't really matter which one of the songs you are playing.
But the best feeling is probably when you play a new song and they react the same way as they're doing with the old hit. Yeah. That's the best thing you can do, because it's like, wow, they appreciate what we're doing, and that's why when you play new songs and people are liking it, it's because it's very hard, because you probably play for maybe 1 hour and 15 minutes, and we probably have 240 songs to choose from, and we play like maybe 20 songs. It's very hard because we have these songs that we want to play, then there's not much space, because
there are these songs which we have to play. People would get upset if we didn't play songs.
There's always someone's going to be disappointed because we didn't play the song they like,
One question I always ask bands who have been around for decades or at least a couple of years is there something Millencolin is not for you? or Millencolin will not be for you, or is not supposed to be for you?
I don't understand.
If you think about Millencolin and the last 3 decades, is there something which Millencolin should not be for you, and which you should not feel about Millencolin or being in Millencolin?
For us?
Yeah.
I don't really understand the question, to be honest.
Is there something
which Millencolin is not supposed to be for you? How do you want to not feel about being in Millencolin?
Yeah, I mean, well, but I guess it's there's nothing. I mean, if we wouldn't like what we are doing with Millencolin, we wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't be here, So I guess it's.
Have you ever thought about quitting or?
Nah, we had our hard times with the band, of course. But I guess nowadays we're a better group. We're the same members in the band for 30 years, so it's a long time. We never had any other members, which I think is super special in a way. And nowadays we have more fun, and it's better. It's a better feeling in the group nowadays than it was 20 years ago, So I guess it's so much better to be Millencolin nowadays than it was.
Yeah, and Millencolin has always been, we've just done what we never tried to do something we're not. I mean,
No.
This is the music we play is the music we want to play. We're not doing it because we want to try to be like that, it's just like the feeling. We're actually quite honest with what we do. That's just us. That's the 4 of us.
I mean, we're very lucky to be able to do that.
Yeah.
We can do this, and people come to the shows and they seem to like us.
Yeah.
We're very
I think from we were skateboarders before we started to play music. And then we started to play this music which goes great along with skateboarding. And it was just us. As kids.
Yeah.
So it's.
But I understand the question, of course, and I mean we wouldn't do anything that wouldn't feel good to do.
No,
that's what it is,
Also, one thing I can't avoid, and that's coming to the end of this interview, is that when it comes to punk rock scenes, and also talking to Stefan or to promoters of punk rock music throughout Europe, it's always difficult to promote punk rock or anything connected to punk rock, like skateboarding or the art exhibition downstairs or like that, to younger people and people not in the 30s or the 40s or 50s. Do you think that it's become easier or it's become harder to reach younger audience from you as one of those big things in punk rock?
It's for us. It's when we do a show. It's very, for me, it feels so good that it's a lot of young people in the crowd. And I mean, it would be very depressing if everyone were like 60 years old and next door some people passed away.
So it's getting less and less. So in 20 years you're paying for yourself. Yeah.
It's like at the end there's 5 people in wheelchairs up front. but now there's a lot of young people who gets into, especially when you've been a band for such a long time as we've been. If you get into punk rock as a kid, you're gonna hear about our band.
Yeah.
Like Bad Religion or whatever band, and it's really, I think it's very refreshing that it's a lot of young people.
It is
getting into punk rock, because maybe 10 years ago it was maybe not happening as much as it's happening now.
No, exactly, and it's also awesome that so many people remain.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's a good mix.
Like you, like Pennywise, who are playing tomorrow here.
Yeah. We love Pennywise, and it's but now it's such a good mix with old hardcore fans, but also new people that are getting into it, and I think it's so rewarding to be able to do this, and that they will get new fans, and also the old fans are staying, and it's a good, very good,
So in your opinion, punk rock is not about to die, or about
I mean, during these last 30 years, it's gone up and down and up and down, up and down.
But now it's on a high in a way,
Yeah, it was.
So for you, it's now on the rise again. So
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it feels.
Especially the last couple of years, it's taken off again.
It was so much digital music there for a while with the whole techno.
We got caught in that thing a little bit too. When streaming started to take off, and we were stuck in trying to sell CDs, and it was a big problem. and also electronic music get really popular, and rock music wasn't really happening, but now it's. I think it's very healthy, the whole scene.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
All right, thank you very much. And to bring it to an end, one last statement for SBÄM or for Stefan, who made this festival possible.
Yeah, it's super nice to be here, and I think it's an awesome thing that's going on here
Absolutely.
in Austria. With the SBÄM.
You're the man, Stefan. Awesome stuff. Everything. Building what you've done with your company is fucking
Super
awesome.
So
Keep up the good work.
Yeah, we're proud to be here.
So we'll get through that he gets this semester. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you,
and, thank you.
Danke.
Thank you,
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
have a good night. And
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.
You too.